So last night was a bad night. There was a lot of video out there. LeBron's not engaged. Nick Wright came on earlier and said this is about a guy that's not in shape. I watch body language. There are body language experts in the world. I think it matters. You can be in conversations with people. You can tell if they're engaged. You can tell if they're not. I don't think LeBron is. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree, but I think it's on a situational basis. But I think overall, I think everyone's looking to him for everything. So you almost have to not over-exaggerate, but just make sure you're giving off the right message. I think, LeBron, Rich Paul, and Magic really rattled the cage of the Lakers, so he has to really sit back and deal with this now, and he has to find a way to get those young players back believing in themselves first and foremost, but believing in what he's saying. And you can tell this team right now is on separate islands.
That's a good way to put it. I also think, LeBron, for whatever reasons, and a lot of people are like this, he's pushed back on authority. He pushed back on Riley, pushed back on Blatt, pushed back on Gilbert. He for whatever reasons, guys are different. He pushes back on authority. I watched the Luke LeBron thing, and I don't think it works. I'm not blaming Luke, but right. I don't buy LeBron's buy-in on Luke. Do you?
No, I think Luke would be a casualty of war. I think Luke is a very talented basketball mind.
You know him real well.
Yeah, played with him. Very high basketball IQ. But I just think the situation, Jeannie standing up for him after Magic said he wasn't his guy. You can kind of tell, like you said, by LeBron's body language and his camp, all these words that they don't really like Luke. So I think, unfortunately, Luke is going to be a casualty of war, and this is probably his last season.
I said when you're a superstar like Tom Brady, even though Tom Brady's got a $700 million net worth or whatever it is, he's always reaching down to the scout team guys and the rookies. I know your name. I know where you're from. Part of leadership is not separating from the young employee. I would argue LeBron's done the opposite. He is more iconic, more global, more corporate. I feel disengaged as a 22-year-old. This I blame on LeBron. I am always aware there's a mogul stage. I get it. I'm for it. Michael had it in Washington. I think the balance, it is too much mogul, not enough LeBron basketball dude this year.
I think everyone knew coming here was a business move overall. He said he wanted to be an owner at one point. L.A. is the market off the court unlike any other. I think one thing he's always done great in the past is he's made his teammates believe. He's always had to do so much for every team he's played on, maybe outside of Miami. He's made those guys, those mid-level guys, believe and got a lot of these guys paid and like, hey, I believe in you. Let's go do this. I really don't see that this year. Not that I said, I don't see that now. Early in the year, he really had the guys going. Before he got hurt, they were 4 in the West, and he had the young guys playing better than they possibly were. Confidence is everything in the NBA. And I can tell right now, like I said, with, all the mix-up at the trade deadline, those guys are really searching for their self-confidence, searching for, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't want to mess up. I don't want LeBron to possibly get mad at me. There's just a lot of confusion there, and you can really tell on the court.
You played for 4 different teams. Actually, you've played for several teams, but I mean the 3 or 4 that I think of, one of them's the Clips, one of them's the Lakers. I want to talk about the trade rumors, and Joy and I talk about this. One of the places I've always defended players, I cannot imagine my company coming up to me and say, you've been traded to Vice. You have to go work now at National Geographic. We'll have to move my family tomorrow. I have to be at work tomorrow. Yeah, it's in Kansas City. Is that trade rumors? Forget the trade.
Right.
The rumors of trades.
They're a monster.
Okay. You were on a team where this happened, where guys got off a plane.
Yeah, no, we had a crazy situation when I was with the Clippers. I want to say it was 2014, and we were flying to Memphis the day of the trade deadline. And I want to say we sat on the runway for over 2.5 hours while we were on Twitter at the time. Antoine Jameson got traded. Byron Mullins got traded. So these guys are getting off the plane on a LAX runway because they had been traded. And then the final trade that was supposed to go down was myself and Darren Collison for Iman Shumpert and Raymond Felton. So we're sitting there just uncomfortable, awkward. The whole plane is silent. Everyone's kind of on their phones, like bumping each other like, oh, damn, Twan just got traded. Mully got traded. Oh, damn, they're talking about you and Collison now. We're going to get traded to the Knicks. So for people to say that, they're professionals, you just need to wait. Until you're in that situation, you never know how you're going to react. And I want to say I was probably 29 or 30 at the time, maybe a little bit older, and it still shook me. You know what I mean? So these kids are in their early 20s playing for the Lakers, playing with LeBron. So it's hard to really say you should be a pro and that shouldn't affect you because it's not true.
Matt, who were you upset with? Owner, team, player, coach, who?
Well, Doc was everything at the time. You know, that's back when Doc was GM,
right,
president, and head coach. You know what I mean? So it's a tough situation. And then after the fact, Doc tried to pull us to the side once we got in Memphis and explain the situation. I wasn't buying it. You know what I mean? Like, you take it personal as a player.
Of course.
Like you said, because it's more than just you leaving and putting on a different uniform. I have kids. I have a family. I got to go to a city I don't possibly want to go to. So a lot plays into that. I mean, who would want to go from L.A. to New Orleans? You know, with all due respect, but just who would? You know what I mean? So a lot really comes into that. So like I said, they're going to have to deal with this for a while, and hopefully he can get these guys back on the same page and believing, because him and his agent and Magic really shook the cage. And now you got a bunch of young guys kind of not really sure of themselves. You know, outside of Kuzma's been playing, you know, terrific, and Ingram's been playing well, but everyone else is kind of still, it looks a little lost out there.
Matt Barnes, 14 NBA seasons, title with the Warriors in 2017. When you were with the early version of the Warriors, they'd already won a title, they won another. Now you get, the NBA has a history. After 3 titles, there's egos, there's complacency, there's lethargy, you become a target. And I'm watching the Warriors play, and I joke now, defense for them, sort of a hobby, not an occupation. They play it when they feel like it. Boogie Cousins, I think, works to mostly a degree. I think Draymond now is a little overvalued around the league as an asset. You've been on a really high-functioning team, the Warriors. Take my audience, 22 games left in the regular season around the league. They know they're great. They know they're favored. Is that in itself hard? Or am I overstating that just you have talent, it's all good?
I think their most important thing, and they know that in that locker room, is just staying healthy right now. Continuing to get Boogie acclimated. I think Boogie has to understand, although he's, you know, his numbers are up and down a little bit, he's still, for the most part, in preseason, early season game-wise, in definitely shape. You know what I mean? He hasn't played in how long? You know, it took almost a year off. So I think their main focus right now is to stay healthy and stay on the same page, which they always do. And I don't put any weight into Houston winning the first 3 games, in the regular, because the regular season, you know, it doesn't matter as much for a team like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, you never want to say we're going to turn the switch on in the playoffs. You know what I mean? But I think the Warriors have been there, done that. They have the chemistry, they have the personnel, they have the coaching staff to know when, you know, all right, guys, it's time to go.
Yeah, I get it.
I can't name another team that, you know, can beat them in a 7-game series, you know, off the top of my head. So I think we live in a day and age now where there's just so much media and so much news that it has to be a talking point at some point. But I know in that locker room, they're very comfortable where they're at. Not comfortable and complacent, but just understanding the process and knowing that, you know, it's still the end of February. We're going to be playing until June. You know, we still got a ways to go. Let's, like I said, just stay healthy right now.
By the way, I think Anthony Davis ends up in L.A. because I don't think the Celtics offer Jayson Tatum. And if the Celtics don't offer Jayson Tatum, then the Boston's package isn't nearly as great. What do you make of Jayson Tatum? I would
love
not.
Him.
So I do, too.
Love Jayson Tatum. I love the fact, and people realize he's a baby. He's 20 years old. And he's proven he put a team on his back at 20 and took him to the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to LeBron. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of uncertainty over Boston. You know, first of all, do you know what Kyrie is going to do? If you trade the world for Anthony Davis, who's going to be there when, you know, the dust settles? You know, so from that standpoint, you know, you hope it never happens, but what if some of the key players get hurt? You know, there's just so many uncertain pieces. That's why I agree with you. I think that I would
not trade Jayson Tatum. I know this sounds crazy. I wouldn't even trade him for Anthony Davis.
He's a franchise player. And to me, Anthony Davis still has to prove he can play a full season in playoffs and lead a team, and he hasn't really been able to do that. There's no knock on his talent. We all know he's one of the most talented players in this game, most versatile players. When he's healthy, his numbers are incredible, but he still has to prove he can stay healthy first and foremost.
You know, hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.